At this time, I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Smith.
Gentleman is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think we need to ask ourselves several questions. Does this resolution make America safer? Does this resolution send a message to our allies that draws them closer to us? Does this resolution encourage our troops, or does it discourage our troops? We heard about de-escalation and when that might be appropriate, when it may not be, but I can tell you that this resolution does not accomplish de-escalation. In fact, it does not even support the troops on their way as we speak. It only supports the troops who have served or currently serving. Madam Speaker, in my conversation with constituents, with soldiers, with those closest to the situation, they see hope. They see hope in a change of strategy. We know that the status quo is not what we need to do, and that's why a change in strategy is certainly in order. I don't pretend to be General Petraeus, and I hope that none of us pretend to know more about the situation than General Petraeus. I'm concerned when we hear that this resolution is the first step for cutting funding. Why don't we just put that resolution up right now? We can save a lot of time. We can send a more direct message. Is that the appropriate thing to do? I hope that you will join me in voting no on this resolution because I support our troops and their mission. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman has yielded back his time. The gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Carnahan, is recognized.
I yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from New York, Jose Serrano, member of the House Appropriations Committee.
Gentleman from New York is recognized for 5 minutes. Without objection.
Thank the gentleman. This is indeed a very solemn occasion, and anyone watching this debate, either on television or in the gallery, should understand that we take very seriously what we say here today. We may disagree on what the final outcome should be, but we do take it very seriously. And I take it seriously as I recall a funeral I attended, it seems a long time ago, for a member of armed forces, Luis Moreno, who was killed in Iraq. And I remember that rainy morning, leaving the church on the way to the cemetery, the pain and the sadness that took place in the whole community, the pain and the sadness that engulfed the family and everyone who was there. We took seriously the loss of that life, and we honor every day the fact that he was sent to that battlefield and he gave his life for that particular cause which we discussed today. But we're here in his honor to say that we have to make sure that we no longer continue to escalate this war, which was presented to us, it seems again a long time ago, based on, at the minimum, false information, and at most, sadly, lies presented to this Congress. We have to make sure that no further loss of life takes place. So much has been said today about supporting our troops. Well, I know of no greater support than to bring them home tomorrow morning. Oh, I know a lot of people will say if you bring them home, Iraq will become a mess. Well, has anyone noticed that Iraq is a mess? Well, if you bring them home now, Iraq will become a country in a civil war. Well, has anyone noticed that Iraq is involved in a civil war? The question is, will we wait for more Americans to lose their lives and more to be wounded? When I say that we were given bad information or possibly lied to, we were told at that time, I remember, how the weapons of mass destruction were stored in Iraq and that we had to get them before they got us, and how there was a link between Al-Qaeda and September 11 and Saddam Hussein. And now even the administration and its ardent supporters agree that there was no link between Saddam Hussein and September 11. There was no link between Al-Qaeda. There was no link between any of that we were told. and we still haven't found the weapons of mass destruction. It was simply a desire to take us to where we shouldn't be. And in the process, we really blew it. I was in New York City on September 11th. I was not with my colleagues here. It was election day in New York, primary day. And I was there in New York on that day for some local elections. I lived through that moment, and I know how painful that was. But beginning with September 12th, the world was with us. Every country was supportive of what we were going through. It always amazed me that countries that live with terrorism on a daily basis thought that for some reason the attack on us was in many ways even bigger than the attacks on their own country. And they supported us. We could have taken that goodwill and used it for positive things throughout the world. What did we do? We totally lost the goodwill by going and invading a country that had nothing to do with September 11th. And so now, the same people who supported us no longer support us. What we're doing here today is exerting a constitutional right. This is not a political exercise. This is not a legislative exercise. This is members of Congress saying that it is our right to oversee the president and to stop him whenever we can when we know that he, any president, any administration, is making a mistake. Now, how has this administration been able to keep us supportive in some ways up to now? By doing something which is really sad, by questioning our patriotism. And so tonight and tomorrow and for the next couple of days, more will question our patriotism. But I ask you, isn't the true patriot he or she who is not holding back to question the actions of his country even during wartime? Isn't that the true patriot who is willing to say, even during wartime, stop it now, stop the madness before it goes any further and before we lose more of our young people? And so we gather here after 3,109 losses, after 23,000 wounded soldiers, saying we have to stop it now and we have to vote for this resolution.